Hey, brother, welcome to day 19 of 40 Days of Light. You know, we've talked a lot about sin this week, not so that we can go around and shout, you're a sinner and you're a sinner and you're a sinner, because we're not talking here about the solution to anything. We're talking about the origins and about the diagnosis. We want to gather the correct compass, because if we don't know where it's pointing and we don't know where we are, we'll never find a solution. And the most basic understanding of human propensities is that we stand in judgment of others while ignoring the corruption of our own hearts. The Apostle Paul writes in Romans chapter 2, verse 1, after documenting the decline of humanity into deep degradations of sin, he says, "Therefore you have no excuse, O man, every one of you who judges. For in passing judgment on another, you condemn yourself, because you, the judge, practice the very same things." This happens individually and it happens corporately. Yes, there is systemic racism. Yes, there is systemic oppression and injustice. But the cultic accusation from groups like anti-racist groups says that, well, it all emanates from that group which has hegemony. It all emanates from that race of people, those white privileged people, the white supremacy that has invisible tentacles everywhere. But strangely, how does this whiteness relate to the slavery of gold miners who are enslaved by their fellow Peruvians, or by diamond miners who are enslaved by their fellow Congolese, or by the Egyptians who held a whole nation in slavery thousands of years ago, or the African slavers who sold millions of their own people to the English, to the Americans, to the Arab slave ships? We're not drawing comparisons to excuse or to diminish these horrors. We're pointing to the origins of the sickness, which is sin. It's self, it's power, it's greed. It doesn't belong to any particular ethnic group or any particular political group. It infests everything. And we can't reverse this system of oppression and crime and racism and bias by trumpeting new cults like anti-racism, anti-capitalism, anti-Americanism, anti-Christianity. They're all rooted in grievance. They're all reacting in outrage. And yes, when people of God see injustice, they should act to topple that power. Like people like Harriet Tubman and Dietrich Bonhoeffer and Martin Luther King, William Wilberforce and John Wesley, and many others who have fought for equal opportunity, for fair wages. They have worked on working conditions and ending exploitations. But those that have been made effective change have operated from a biblical worldview. Knowingly or unknowingly, they recognized, if all I do is mow down the weeds without dealing with the roots, then we're going to have recurring cycles of grievance. If all we do is tear down the current structures and erect new ones, there will still be injustice. So again, here's some core theology. Trying to solve a heart problem with cosmetics is not going to work. Trying to solve cancer with a Band-Aid is not going to work. Now we need to make it personal. Unless you and I are accountable to God, unless we're humbled and convicted about our own selfishness, greed, pride, and vengefulness, and unless we choose to obey God even when it's difficult, we will never be the light, the salt, the yeast, the seed of the kingdom of God. And unless there are governing powers to restrain mass evil, there will be chaos. So my personal humility does not automatically set the world right, but on the other hand, it halts the infection at its core as I live as a redeemed, humble, obedient man. So today, let God run the universe. You humbly stand under his reign as a faithful subject of his, and shed the light in your own particular network of relationships, and see that God has rescued you from the dominion of sin, and you now live in the light. God bless you.